morning, everybody. Joining me today is the city manager of the Village of Cass City, Debbie Powell. Good morning, Debbie.
Good morning, Phil.
I'm really excited to talk to you. We kind of have mutual roots in the city of Saginaw in the background. I'm sitting here in the city of Saginaw. You came to Cass City from Saginaw, and so this is kind of a fun, like the rest of the story with Debbie Powell. So I'm excited to talk to you today. First, talk to me about Cass City. Give me kind of the 101 as to your community.
Well, Cass City is a small community, about 2,500. We're located in the center of the thumb, right off of M81. And it's a beautiful little community, great quality of life. We're seeing people kind of gravitate towards Cass City with a little bit of an increase in our population because we have such a good quality of life with our parks and recreation and our school system, hospitals, stores and such. We're the place to be in the thumb in Tuscola County.
I love that, especially hearing you say that people are kind of getting pulled to Cass City with attraction, retention being such a critical issue in so many of our communities. It's awesome that it sounds like you're heading in the right direction. That's very cool.
Yes, and part of that is because of MEDC and the RRC program too, which that's the good news. I'm a champion of them.
I love that. So let's get into that part of the story. You came to Cass City in 2017, correct?
Correct. Yes.
What was the state of Cass City and the RRC toolkit and interacting in that way? What was the state of things in 2017?
Well, they were aware of the program, and they had attended the initial training sessions about what the program was about. So they did want to pursue it. The leadership really was kind of looking for some change, a change agent in the community, and that was an initiative, a project that could embrace that. And when I came to the Village of Cass City, so they were aware of it. And I had been participating in the RRC program when I was employed with the city of Saginaw. I was one of the team members. They had a team, and there was like 15, 20 of us that met regularly to talk about the objectives and the goals. In Cass City, we really didn't have that type of staffing. So we had me and a part-time high school student that started to actually work on being certified in 2018. It was eye-opener, a big change.
I love that, though, because it demonstrates you can be a community of a team of 15 people all meeting together to talk RRC and going through the process, or you can be a city manager with a high school student wingman, hacking your way through, and you can still do it, and it can still benefit your community. So walk me through kind of the start of that process and into certification.
Okay. Well, I had to evaluate where we were at and with the objectives that are out there for RRC. And the first step was we needed to update our master plan. Our master plan had been quite outdated, and that was the first step. The village council recognized that, and we hired a firm to do that. It was about a 1.5 year process, but that's where it all starts. And then you build off of that. We went and had to redo our zoning ordinance and our zoning map and hire another contractor with the help of MEDC toolbox funds. We completed that. And then we were able to move on to some of the other more specific plans and action items. And when it was all said and done, Phil, I mean, I've got plans. I've got tons of plans. We're a planning group here. And, we just don't put them up on the shelf. We pull them off and we use them and we work them. But we've got plans in Cass City.
Yeah, I love that, too, because it just demonstrates how RSC helps capacity. Comparable sized villages or cities, they may have no plans simply because they have only capacity enough to tend to day-to-day issues and keep the city churning. But as far as like planning for the future, like we simply don't have the manpower for that. So that's very, very cool. I want to be kind of an advocate for communities who might be listening to this, because they heard like you have to look at your master plan, and that was a 1.5 year process, and then you have to go into zoning and ordinances, which kind of makes people's minds explode sometimes, and that just sounds like a long process too, and it sounds like a long time. It sounds like a lot of work. If I'm already a capacity strapped, resource strapped community, that sounds super scary and intimidating to me. What would you tell a community in my situation that understands we need some help, we need some consultation, we need some experts, we need an assist, but the work and the timeline is kind of the thing that's scaring me off?
Okay, well, and it was scary to me too. But Phil, every community's journey is going to be different. When I came to the village of Cass City, their master plan hadn't been updated in a very long time, and even longer the zoning ordinance. And that's not the case for everybody. It really is a unique journey for everyone to do. And the toolbox funds that are incentives are available, and we did take advantage of that. You have to have your foundation and your building blocks, but you get assistance with that. You get help with that. And not everybody's going to have to be looking at a master plan revision, so it's unique to each individual community.
I love that you say that. City of Saginaw, for example, I think it's every 5 years they look at their master plan. Other communities, it might have been a really long time, and so they might have a little bit more work to do. But even if I'm in that situation, why would you say that this process is worth it?
Well, the benefits of the process, there's so many. As a village manager and in smaller communities, you wear many hats. I'm a village manager, I'm HR director, street administrator, zoning administrator. And what it helped me to do is to actually learn. I came with limited knowledge of planning and zoning. I'd worked for larger cities that had departments for that. And really the educational experience and the understanding and working with staff and also potential developers. I was speaking their language. I was understanding. I was able to present the village of Cass City in the best light, and have ease of use of our forms and accessibility and a user-friendly website. I mean, that's what we're looking for. The end result is you want to attract the attention of the developers. This is what this program does.
Also, just speaking from a personal perspective, it sounds like even though it's work and a process, in the end, it makes your life more fulfilled, a little bit easier, because you understand the back end of it. And I want to say to the people listening, it's okay that you don't understand everything. It's okay that you don't know. And that's why Redevelopment Ready certification exists, is to fill those gaps and say, hey, you know what? You're an amazing city manager. You're an amazing community. Let's help you become even more amazing. And then you fill those gaps and you iron out the zoning, and then you iron out the master plan, and you've got a website that you can proudly point developers to, as opposed to be like, well, it hasn't been updated since 1993 and you're probably not going to be able to find what you need. And then you lose out on these projects and now you feel sad. It's just an amazing resource. Talk to me a little bit about the 2 levels of RRC.
Okay, well, remember this was back in 2018 when I first started working on it with MEDC. And what became apparent to me is that the difference between working in Saginaw and RC in the village, we really just didn't have the capacity. We didn't have the staffing. And in communicating that to people who I spoke with through MEDC, they decided to form like a study group. And they asked me, because I had that unique perspective with the smaller community and mid-sized city, to participate and provide feedback on the challenges. And after that was said and done, they determined that RRC is not a one-size-fits-all. And some of the struggles to get there with population and the abilities departments and such. And the good news is that they determined that really there should be two levels. There's the essentials levels and the certified level. And that was great news. For us, we had been fortunate to hire a CDAM fellow, Josh Prusik, and he was working with us already. We had completed some of the certified requirements. We were thinking as a small community, a village, we'd go for the essentials, but we're like, hey, we already got some of this done. Mm-hmm. And we said, let's go for it. We went for the full certified level and was able to complete that and celebrated it in December of 2022.
Amazing. Good work, Josh Prusek. I know Josh. Thank you, Josh.
He's our rock star.
Yeah, for work over at Cass City. That's very, very cool. Understanding that different communities need different things and are able to attain different things in different times. And so here's an essentials level and here's a certified level. And you get to choose your own adventure. But I also love what you said about, well, we're in it and we got some of it done already. So let's keep going for the gold. And here you are, a certified community. Along with that certification, the MEDC also has a library of templates. Talk to me about what that is.
Okay, well, quite often as managers, we reach out to colleagues and try to get their input, their insight, so that we're not expending resources to do something that perhaps has already been done. Reach out to others and get some insight. Well, the library is so extensive. And when you talk about some of these requirements, there's many, many templates that are there that you can use and make your own. And it saves time. It's best practices. It's just a wonderful resource. And I'll tell you, Phil, if you go to the library, you might even find some stellar examples of the village of Cass City there. I'm just saying.
You mentioned something in our emails back and forth about encouraging communities to not reinvent the wheel. And that's such a good piece of advice, I think, because we run around in our communities and we're trying to be good leaders and we're trying to make things happen and make magic happen and spin all the plates and do all the things. And sometimes that can lead us to think our community is facing challenges that no other community faces. Nobody's ever been through this before. Well, that works for them, but not for us. And I think you can attest that that's not really true. While every community is individual, they have their own identity, their own situations, their own specific things. When it comes to redevelopment, for example, developers are looking for similar things. Everybody's got patches of land they want to build something on or they want to redevelop, and there's basic principles and ideas that apply whether you're in Cass City or you're in Saginaw or if you're in Grand Rapids. So save yourself some time. Use templates that have been proven to work across all different kinds of communities, and you look like a rock star. You saved yourself a bunch of effort and mistakes and all of those things. And man, what an incredible resource. Let's talk about the nitty gritty. So the outcome of this RRC certification level, what kind of changes have you seen in Cass City because you're a redevelopment ready community?
Wow, there's been so many. It's hard. I don't want to miss anything, but the networking has been fantastic with MEDC and connecting with other resources through MEDC or the state. That's been fantastic. The help, the team there, they are so great, so positive, and so encouraging. It's opened the door for many grant opportunities. What comes to mind is a grant that we were able to receive that would help with like a feasibility study, pre-planning. And we have a cornerstone building in Cass City at the Corner Light main intersection. And that building's been vacant for a couple of years. And fortunately, we have a new owner, and he is going to use one of these MEDC grants that we were able to receive through this program to use architectural renderings and civil engineering on how to redevelop a first floor of a 3-floor building into mixed use. And it's really exciting to see. We had patients waited and it came to fruition. So we'll be using that grant. Now, as a certified community, Phil, we have toolbox funds that are available to us also to continue to meet some of the maintenance and requirements. And I'm really excited to say that Cass City is going to be embarking on this journey of getting a brand new logo and branding and marketing. So that's exciting that we'll be able to do that. And for such a small community, we wouldn't have the resources, and the financial capability if it wasn't for some of these toolbox funds that are available to us through MEDC now that we're certified. And that's just a couple of examples. The redevelopment site for some of our key buildings in our downtown area that we're able to promote. Some of the other sidebar grant training for entrepreneurs. It's just been a wonderful.
It's one of the things that impresses me so much listening to folks who have experienced the RRC and what it can do for their communities firsthand is that there's so many different facets to it. It's more than just you hop on a monthly call with somebody from MEDC and like, hey, can you help me with this? And then you hear back from them 4 weeks later and nothing really happens, and it's just kind of another meeting. But there's access to funding, and there's access technical assistance and branding that you didn't have before, and just not only that, it's more than just that happened one time in 2019 and then they waved at you and said best of luck to you, Debbie Powell in Cass City, but it's an ongoing process of improvement, and they say, well, we're going to help you support that continuous improvement because we want you to stay on top of your game with the best practices, and we're here to help you with those resources to make that happen. Just talking from a citizen's perspective, when you see something happen with those big critical buildings in your downtown that have been vacant for such a long time, but now something's happening with them. There's new businesses going in. There's people living in the uppers for the first time in probably decades. That kind of makes me carry myself a little bit differently. There's a certain amount of pride that comes with momentum and progress and people doing great work. And it sounds like that's what's happening in Cass City.
Oh, truly. I mean, one of the buildings that we're looking at repurposing, we had a representative, Nate Scramlin, came in, and he viewed this large, expansive, used to be like a large retail store. And the ideas got going regarding repurposing this in a way that potentially could incorporate some first floor housing. And Cass City uniquely has already had an ordinance that would allow for first floor housing in the back of buildings. And so there's this looking outside the box, a different perspective, and that advice and assistance. And because of that, we've had several developers now looking at that property and looking at it with the intent of housing. And when we look at what Cass City needs, what we all need, there's certain key things that you wouldn't think of, but it ties in to Michigan Economic Development Corporation housing, for example. Other things like childcare. So they kind of intermingle to a certain extent, and that's something that we're pursuing with that particular property owner and that building right on downtown.
Very cool. It's more than just redevelopment. It's more than just making that building into something that the community can be used. It's that big picture of, well, now there's people living downtown. There's more people living there than were before, and that supports our local businesses, and that communication of momentum attracts other developers and other business owners who say, hey, something's happening in Cass City. there's potential here for us to also get involved. And so then they get involved, and people want to volunteer more because they see other people taking pride in their community. And so it's more than just that building. It can really open the door to so many improvements across the community.
Right. There's synergy, and it builds, it has a snowball effect, and And that's true too with our RC program. Through that, you start looking at other programs that are available. And we got involved with Patronicity and did a crowdfunding for a new bark park. I mean, just all these offshoots as you get excited and you start digging in and finding other resources. And again, networking. It just kind of explodes and excitement happens in the community.
The wide world of Michigan Economic Development Corporation. I love it. If a similar size community, a Cass City 2.0, someplace else is listening to this and they're thinking, we're almost ready, but I don't know. What would you say to them to persuade them to really seriously pursue becoming a redevelopment ready community?
The benefits are so overwhelming. I mean, honestly, the funding and the resources and that are available once you start the process, you don't even have to be fully certified. Our journey, Phil, was from 2018 to 2022, although a little setback with COVID-19 in there, but everyone's journey is different. And the longest journey starts with the first step. And the Trello board, the project management software program that MEDC has, is so great. I mean, the best part of my day was being able to just click on a card and move it to being completed or for review. And you're going to get there eventually. So why not start? And as Phil was mentioning, developers come to look for these forms. I need a site plan evaluated. Where's your site plan form or your zoning permit form? And to have these standardized and you be able to say, yeah, we've got them. It's provided. The forms are online or whatever. For a small community, it makes it easier to do business. Honestly, it does.
Which is a lot of times an obstacle for small communities. We haven't had time to put those systems in place or to look at the zoning. And so then when you finally do get a developer coming in to maybe a really critical project, you got to be ready for that. And unfortunately, a lot of small communities, because they haven't had the resources or the support, they're not. And then that developer says, hey, I'm interested in this. And then it's fumbling through every paper and, trying to find that link. And well, that's not really up to date anymore. And this is what we're doing. And that can scare them away. And now you missed what could have been the linchpin turning point of your community simply because that wasn't ready. And so I love your encouragement to say, you know what? It might take you 2 years. It might take you 4 years with a pandemic in there. But the 4 years from now or 3 years from now or however long it takes is going to thank you mightily for saying, hey, we're going to take this first step and we're going to become a redevelopment ready community. Debbie Powell, I want to thank you so much. I'm really excited about what's happening in Cass City. You seem like an incredible leader leading an incredible community, and I really want to wish you guys all the best. So thank you so much for the time today, Debbie.
Thank you, Phil.